Welcome to Rooted and Real, 21 minutes of Where Are They Now? A soulful check-in with past Be Your Soul guests. It's raw, heart-led, and unscripted. Just 21 minutes to reflect on what's changed, what's deepened, and what's still true. Excited for this Rooted and Real to have Shann back with us to talk about art and intuition. Thank you so much for doing this, especially on short notice. So I super appreciate it. How have you been since our last talk?
I have been so busy. It's ridiculous. But my daily mantra now is, it is a blessing to be this exhausted from doing what I love and making money at it.
Nice.
I think I say it 17 times a
day. That's a beautiful mantra. I love that. We're in this energy right now of heart-centered why, like reminding ourselves the why behind what we're doing and keeping ourselves like flowing in that direction. Because we can, even the things that we love the most, we can kind of get tuned in to feel like we have to do them. Yeah. And so if we stay in that heart-centered why, it's always good. That's a beautiful mantra for that.
Yeah. I say it a lot. It's a good thing. It's a good thing.
It is. So speaking of what you love, art and intuition are kind of along those lines. And so since the last time we've talked, have you had any aha moments or things that are really opened up about the topic for you?
I definitely still have that, and it's definitely still my core place, but I feel like I've shifted some. I still do what we talked about in the last, I still body paint and all that, but I feel like I'm broadening that more to use my creative outlet like into full events, not just the body painting. So now we're doing the spaces or the whole costuming effect with hair. That's what I was working on today. So I think it's just the experience of it. So it isn't just the paint, it's just the overall, like all inclusive, I guess, environment at which you might get body paint or where you might view my art or whatever. So I feel like that's been really intriguing to me more lately, the overall.
That's beautiful because it's even though the body painting in itself tells an amazing story, it's almost like you're setting the backdrop for that story to like come to life in a bigger way. And yes, energetically to me, that feels like what that does is immerse you into the experience instead of observing the art as an outsider, so to say. Like it's almost like you get to go into the experience and
yes,
energetically and emotionally and physically feel it in a big way.
Absolutely. And it puts, I think I've done some things since we've talked last that put it in like where it's so taboo to some people, like the whole body painting, but this has really normalized it more to with music and with the space. Or if I did like an interactive tent, I got a grant last year and did that. So I feel like all those make it more into the mainstream.
Yeah.
That mainstream, which I feel like gives it less stigma, which I'm liking more too. I'm expanding. Like I just did a paint the other day for Ozzy Osbourne Memorial. So I did like, wow. And I'm going to be painting at Sturgis next week, which is a big biker rally, which is not my usual audience, but I did the body paint as a promo and then the Ozzy on the back as a memorial. So it was really nice to kind of blend those styles, and there was no black, white or anything, which is what my norm is.
And intuitively, how do you get into those things? Because I know I'll say with sequining, I only sequin dead people. So, that energy can really tune in and your intuitions really get flowing. And so I'm sure there was a lot, especially with him just passing in that, but also just the vibe and the intuitive energy of things like a certain crowd of people that you're trying to tune into energetically.
Yes, and I had already kind of thought about how I'm going to market to paint at Sturgis. Like I'm at a good venue with a very experienced painter. So I just, and then my little niche. So I'm trying to like push what I have, but also expand my skill sets too. So the music also helped. Even my model came over in full glam makeup and she was channeling it. It was great because it's so not my norm. I appreciate that music and I definitely have listened to it in my life. It's just not my day to day now. So I actually think the divine timing in this one is why it happened. It wasn't my plan. It shifted my plan of her promo paint because it happened the day before I had her scheduled. And sorry, I got distracted.
Okay.
Sorry. Backtrack. I lost my train of thought.
So it happened the day before.
The day before. So I totally shifted what I was going to paint. Thank you. Shifted it. So it became such a wonderful, and it was channeling everything. Like I went in for hours on the details of that face and stuff. So I needed it, I think, more than I realized, to do a full portrait and not do my usual. So it broke me out of I've been in a little bit of a funk. So it was nice to jump right into it and it be something new and exciting and last minute, because that's what gives me my dopamine.
Right. And for me, intuitively, I know that's when it's right. Like, like if I was telling this story the other day, I did a portrait of Betty Davis, the funk the funk singer Betty Davis. And I was trying to think of aesthetically and tune in energetically. And I was getting to her lips, and I kept my intuition kept wanting these bright reds. And I was like, oh, that's really going to take away, it's going to make all you'll see are her lips, as an artist, you're like, that's the only thing. It's going to just, distract. It's going to distract. And so I picked some, more brighter browns, but, was trying to do a blend in. And I was sitting there, and the more I sat with it, the more I was like, oh, this isn't right. And, I video my sequence. So I had my camera above the tray, and I'm sequencing, and out of nowhere, the camera just falls on the tray and all the brown sequins go everywhere. And I was like,
oh. Yes, it was that kind of intervention. Nope, that's not happening. The universe is like, nope.
No. She's like, I want red lips. So I was like, okay.
I love when it's just so obvious, and I love when it's not even questioned. It just happens.
Right. And that intuition will nudge us, but sometimes, I know for me, sometimes I'm trying to make things make sense artistically, and that's whenever I get off path. And unsequencing is the worst.
Yeah. No. It's just like block after block after block.
Yeah.
I totally understand.
Have you ever had one of those moments where
tons? I've had so many, but not since I've really been just in my alignment era, every once in a while. But I think I second guessing myself when it happens. When it flows, it's just right, and I don't question it. And 99% of the time, that's where I'm at.
Yeah.
But this one, I think, because of the audience is so different than my norm, I was really in my head about I was overthinking it to death, and that it all came together. Then I was like, why am I thinking this is what I do? It's just a different color palette or whatever. So it worked out. I'm happily.
Awesome. So when it comes to those intuitive pings, how do you fuel them? Have you grown or learned any tools since we last talked about how you fuel your intuition and your artistic expression?
I haven't. I realize I'm in that flow, but then I can get a little stagnant. And so when I feel myself not feeling as happy about it, I go back and I work on a different skill set. I'm really working on my airbrush skill sets. Instead of me just teaching myself, now I'm doing the strokes that you're supposed to do at the beginning that I didn't really worry about because I'm a big picture painter. So now I feel like I'm going back to work on the little things and the brush strokes, just refining all those old things that I might have gotten lazy with. So just to make it that much better.
Yeah, that's a tool that I use too. And I suggest it to people all the time. Get back to the basics. Yeah. It's the thing that got us into this alignment or got us into that intuitive space. And then sometimes we are so used to them, we forget that they're there as a skill set. So that's one of my favorite things to do and to tell people to do when they say that that's not working.
Yes. And I always tell my students, and I sometimes have to remind myself, when you have limitations, it's when you're your most creative. So I make weird limitations on me creatively sometimes when I'm trying to sketch or whatever. And this time my limitation was no black light. There wasn't a black light. And it's only these certain set of stencils in this certain theme. And then it's even the video editing. It needs to be with that aesthetic and not my normal. So that was actually most challenging of this, is like just the content that I usually do with the
Mm-hmm.
music. Like, just sounds funny, but that's such a big part of the social media, is such a big part of the art now.
Right.
It definitely has to go hand in hand. So that was more challenging than anything. It took me a really long time to edit the videos and stuff like that.
Mm.
And also
And
it was a
it's
new model. So that was another challenge. I realized, I'm not going to tell you to pose. I need to work on this. I'm not a photographer.
and I think it is cultivating that energy in a certain way, like, because how people receive things, like different, not in a stereotyping sort of way, but in a way of like, what language do the people that I'm, like that I'm presenting to, what, what is their intuitive language, what is their energetic language, what is their, emotional preference, what's going to ignite them in that way. And that's a next level sort of way to use that empathy to be able to see, how will this be seen by an audience that I'm not usually in front of, or how will this be received or translated in that way.
No, it's true. It's true. I'm happy that it's kind of back flowing now, because I was a little in a lull. It wasn't in a bad place, but it was just kind of going, but nothing new and exciting. So I'm glad.
Yeah. And that's always fun whenever you get into a new project or I know, and I don't know if a lot of people do this or not, but like sometimes at the end of a really big project, because my work can take like 6 to 9 months to complete, and I like, sometimes I'll feel like a little sad that I'm done. And I always feel blessed when I already have the vision of what comes next.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of times before I finish a piece, I'm already seeing or feeling or intuiting, like, where I'm going, what the next thing is. But, there is still that little like bridge of almost like grief in finishing the project that I found really interesting, because I didn't have it in other art forms that I did until I started doing these big ones.
Yeah, no, I believe that. And I do all the quickie things lately. So I'm making money out of it, but I haven't done a long paint in a long time. So I think I needed that renewal because it's been so long.
Yeah, absolutely. So is there anything else you want to add as far as art and intuition, or advice for people who either didn't get to listen? They should go back and listen now to our first interview.
Shameless plug. No, just kidding. No, I think when we watch other artists, this is one thing I've learned, that everybody thinks everyone has it all together. And I heard people say that recently, and I was like, no, we never have it together. And if you do, that means you're stagnant. Mm-hmm. And most artists will never be stagnant. So just know, when you feel like you have it all together, you need to do something new, because otherwise you're going to feel burnout very soon. So I feel like just keep learning and growing, and never like give up on that, and try something new, because even when you're not feeling it, it takes you out of your comfort zone, or you might meet someone that does something that inspires you. So just being open to that, and I have to remind myself of this all the time, is really, really important.
Mm-hmm. I agree. And, my papa would say, like, when you stop asking questions, you're in the ground. And so part of what we're meant to be doing is being curious and inquisitive. And like the same neuro pathways that intuition use are the same ones that creation energy uses. And a lot of the same energetic pathways of intuition are the same of artistic expression. And so it's kind of like working our muscles out. Our intuitive muscles are worked when our creative muscles are worked, and vice versa. So that sort of trying new things is like moving your body in a different way, except for it's moving your energy.
No, it's very accurate. It's very accurate. And it's funny. I teach, so I've been off the summer and just doing this, and just realizing like that part of my brain, the practical, normal computer email, is not as savvy. Then like I was doing advising the other day for the first time, and I was like, wow, I really need to get back in the swing of things, because I've so been in a creative space in business, but it's still just a totally different brain power, I guess, part of my brain that I'm using over summer. So I was like, yeah, I need to get back on track before this.
I I feel that. Well, thank you so much for this. We're seconds away from 21 minutes.
I can draw out a really long sentence and you'll get we can talk about my birthday yesterday.
No, right. Hooray. Happy
I'm older and wiser since the last
time. Since the last time. You're so much older and wiser.
One of these days I'm gonna feel like a grown-up, I think.
I don't know. I don't think I will. But no. That's okay.
That's just our creative brain.
It is our creative brain, always having the fun, frivolity, and play of the child self.